All right. Well, we are here on a frustrating week one loss to the Miami Dolphins. We lost on a last minute, last second field goal where we allowed them to come back and to really stake claim on the game, really on a game that the Jags had absolutely really demolished. Maybe that's a strong word. Really, that handled, I would say, the Miami Dolphins for much of the game. And so, what I'd like to do is obviously give my first reactions to the 2017 loss to the Miami Dolphins. And this one sucks. This is tough. This is difficult. There are losses that we, that we experience, and we kind of just yeah, they all sting, they all hurt, and then we kind of just move on and get ready for the next one. And then there's losses like the one we just had Sunday, and you just, man, it doesn't make sense sometimes, but it's just really hard to take. And this one was more than a gut punch. It was really frustrating to see because really you have pretty much dominated much of the game, and you, in my opinion, as over as a whole, the team as a whole is a better talented team than the Miami Dolphins. They are a better team all the way around, and they showed that. And until we got to, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, where we got to the fumble with Travis Etienne, and the whole game shifted at that point. So, I think that the bottom line is that we got to learn how to close out games. We have to learn how to finish and play 60 minutes of a football game, because you cannot play a half or three quarters of a game and not finish strong and win in the NFL when almost every one of the games come down to whoever has the ball last, or at least they're going to be tight games. So it is absolutely frustrating to know that we, let another one slip away. We beat ourselves again, and we allowed them to come get back into the game and win. So let me talk about first off. I want to talk about the offense as a whole, and then I'm going to talk about the defense. I think the offense, it's a tale of two halves. I said as soon as the game was over, I said even before Doug's press conference or anything, as soon as the game was over, I was on the phone with my talking with my brother, and I told him it was a tale of two halves. It absolutely was, and it was kind of a picture of really what carried over from last year once the injuries piled up, where there was some front end of the games looked well and we couldn't finish them out. And so the offense came out looking sharp. Trevor didn't have gaudy numbers, but he was very good. He threw some really, I mean, that throw he threw to Brian Thomas Jr. in the back of the end zone was just unbelievable. I mean, and that's what makes him, and that's what gives us hope of seeing what he can become and what he, in my opinion, will become. But it needs to start now at this point. Like I've had a long, you know, patient ride with this, but at this point, it's like, come on, you want to take that next step? Well, you need to be the QB that takes us and wins us the games. Those great throws and everything that took place prior to obviously the collapse there at the end, those things are great. But if you want to take that step, in spite of whatever happens during the game, you lead our team down there and win the game. And that needs to start happening, and it needs to start happening right away if we want to see that step, and we want to see the team and everybody get confidence and rally behind him, as I believe he's going to do and he will do. Our offense ran the ball. I was shocked at how well we ran the ball. To be honest, I was shocked at how well we ran the ball. It was really, really good. I couldn't believe how good we ran the ball. To be honest, I was really, really shocked. Um, but we did. We ran the ball really well, and Tank Bigsby ran like a man on a mission. And I think the compliment there between him and Travis Etienne was just something I was really getting excited about because if that was going to be a glimpse of what we could see this year, I mean, this is looking like an excellent 1-2 punch. So I was really happy to see that and to think through the process of knowing that we could have a 1-2 punch like that and what that would allow Trevor to be and the time that he could be given off of play actions and plays that would be able to have people guessing would even be better for us. So I think our offense as a whole was playing really, really good for that first half. We get to the second half, and I mean, it wasn't like we got to the second half and we were completely just shut down and couldn't do anything. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But we definitely, I think when the turnover happened, something happened to our team. Momentum is real. Momentum is real in this game, and I think once that fumble took place, good teams need to recover that momentum and have to be able to withstand it, and we didn't. And momentum is a real thing. It was like once that took place, Miami was playing with a different set of just excitement and they were on a whole nother level that was so energetic that it made our guys look like they weren't doing anything at all, or moving in slow motion. If you think about that, so our offense was great in my opinion until we got to the second half. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Our defense. I mean, if I was the defense, and I don't think that's the character of any of the players on the team, but I'd be pissed. Like, you held up the top 20 points total, but I mean, you basically shut them down, minus a couple long plays. So the defense did their job. If you'd have told me in the beginning, hey, we're going to hold Miami Dolphins to 20 points, I'd have told you we win all day, because that's basically shutting them down. I mean, the defense handled them. Trayvon Walker, 2 sacks on just. I mean, Eric Olmstead showed why he's here. Our defense absolutely crushed it. And to have a game slip away that they played like that they played that hard and that difficult to shut down that type of offense, and then to lose the game on that type of defensive effort, it absolutely stings. And it absolutely is terrible. But the good point is it showed us what this defense can be. And that's a top-tier talent offensive team there. And they pretty much said, it's not going to happen. And they shut them out. The running game was nothing until the end. So our defense played exceptional. They played lights out. But again, as I'll say here, it was a tale of two halves. It really was a tale of two halves. If we get to the third quarter, we got the ball back. If you remember, we go down the field and we get a field goal. So we're thinking that maybe we can get a 10-point swing there by getting the ball back. So we go down, we get that. When we come back out, I'm pulling this up right here just because I want to point out some things. I think it's very easy for people to sit here and say, oh, we were shut down in the second half. The Dolphins didn't do anything. The play calling was terrible. And we can talk about that here soon. But the offense is crap. I mean, how we go from being excellent in one half and not excellent in the second half makes no sense to me. But whatever, you can say all of those things and all of that. But if you look at this, they kicked off to us. Tank Bigsby had a 2-yard run, all right? And then Trevor Lawrence throws passes short to Parker Washington, who for 3 yards. So it's 3rd and 5, manageable down and distance, manageable. We'd like to be better, but 3rd and 5, manageable. Now in this game, being only 2 for 10 on 3rd down conversions, it wasn't manageable. We can't do that. But 3rd and 5, we'd feel okay about it. So Lawrence throws a dime to Evan Ingram, who stops, plants, turns around, and the ball hits him in the stomach and he drops it. Now he got hit, he did, but you got to make that play. So there's a drop there. So we got to punt it back. And so our offense, you catch that, we're driving down the field. All right, you catch that. It's a new first set of downs. You're driving down the field, but he dropped it, punt it. That can't be on Trev. The second drop we had, Lawrence throws short to Kirk, who doesn't catch it. Okay. And then we have ETN gets running up the middle, get a holding call on Anton Harrison, which by far one of his worst games. Gets called back, so second 20. ETN runs up the middle for 7 yards, and once he goes up the middle for 7 yards, now we're looking at 3rd and 13. Trevor floats out of the pocket, throws an off-balance pass, but he throws a pass that Christian Kirk would normally catch, and he dropped it. So another 3rd down conversion, which would have been converted had he called it. He dropped it. Christian Kirk earlier in the game also dropped another 1st down. So those are 3 drops that Trevor threw that would have been 1st downs that keeps our offense on the field. Then you say, okay, we punt. We punt back to Miami. They don't do anything. They get 4 plays. They punt back. Now here comes 94-yard drive. 94-yard drop. Tank Bigsby, 26-yard run. And then we go to Gabe Davis for 22 yards. Lawrence to ETN for 12 yards. And then you have Tank Bigsby for 7 yards. And then you have Duvernay around the left side for a few yards. All right. And then that's where that face mask, where his hand got caught in the helmet, when we get an extra 15. And then the next run is ETN up the middle, who fumbles it on the 2-yard line. So we're driving the ball. So 3 drives. 2 drops stall. 1 drop stalls the first drive. 2nd drop stalls the 2nd drive. And the 3rd drive, we go all the way down the field, 94-yard, and ETN fumbles the ball. Hey, listen, I wish he would not have fumbled the ball, and he needs to do better at that, absolutely. But that was a heck of a play by Holland. Holland punched that ball right out of their textbook, and it was a great play. It was a great play, but you got to hold on to the ball. But he fumbled the ball. When he fumbled that ball, something happened to our team. And what happened to our team is what's got to be figured out, because I don't know what it was, but you could feel it. When that happened, Miami got the ball, all right? And then the very next play hits Tyreek Hill for that 80-yard touchdown. 14-point swing. At that moment, the Jags, like the energy, I don't know. I don't want to say it had anything to do with, like, do they believe same old Jags or whatever. I don't know. But when that took place, and then the swing, and then the 80-yard touchdown, something happened to our team. Because right after that, we kick off. Parker Washington fumbles the ball. What a great play to get it back. But it just felt like we were trying not to lose the game at that point. Then that's when the controversial, play call here in a minute with Doug happens, where Parker fumbles the ball, gets the ball. What a heck of a play to get that ball back, man. Thank goodness he got that ball back, because that would have been totally terrible on top of, the salt in the wound. He fumbles, but he gets it. We get the ball back. And then, from there, from at that point, now we're at that point, we're in 4th quarter. So, we get the ball, and we run the ball. Let me pull this up. 2 yards, nothing out of it. Then we run to ETN 7 yards to the left. So it's 3rd and 1. Tank Bigsby cannot get a yard, which has been our Achilles heel since last year. 3rd and short, couldn't get it. Punt the ball. Punt the ball, Doug. I'm always been a proponent and very happy when Doug is aggressive and goes for it, because I like that style. But there's a time and place to do it. On on the Dolphins, or on our 32-yard line, that's not the time to do it, especially after what you just witnessed, where your team, if Travis fumbled the ball, our team just gave up an 80-yard bomb, and then our team, the energy, something is wrong with them. You got to sense that as a head coach and know that something's been sucked out of them, and now you're going to put them in a situation that is not good for your team, because if they don't make it, you're further demoralizing their mental and their mental makeup of now doubting themselves even more. You got to protect the team. You got to punt the ball there. Our defense has been playing lights out this whole game. Yeah, they made a mistake and gave up an 80-yard, but who doesn't do that to Tyreek Hill every now and then? Other than that, they held him to 50 yards until that took place. You take away that 80-yard, he only had 50 yards for the game. So listen, the defense played lights out. You freaking punt the ball. All right, and you make the defense do what the defense has been doing. If Miami scores again, then hey, they beat your defense and they score. But you don't do that. You just don't do that. I love Doug Peterson's aggressive nature. I don't want it to go away, but he's got to be more calculated on that. He's got to be able to say, this is not the time to do it. or somebody's got to be in his ear telling him, listen, I know you're the head coach, it's your decision, but let's think about this. Now there's some history here we've had with this that hasn't paid dividends. Let's think about that and trust your defense. Like, I understand he's trying to get a first down, as he said in his thing, in his press conference, and I understand that you're trying to keep you're trying to get that momentum back. You're trying to keep your offense on there. But who's to say you don't punt the ball and your defense doesn't get a pick six, or it doesn't get a sack fumble, or how about just put some trust in them guys and let them go win it for you? So, I disagree with the call. He should have punted it. Did it have an impact on the game? It hardly had any. It had minimal, if any, impact on the game because they ended up missing the field goal. So it ended up not being no harm, no foul. But in a sense, it could have been because there's something hidden in there that could have taken place. If you punt the ball and pin them deep, then maybe they make a mistake, and now it's on our territory with the ball down there. So you've got to play better than that. You got to play better than that. Now, Travis Etienne, man, I can't imagine how he felt when he fumbled that ball. I can't imagine just the way he felt, right? But listen, you have an offense that's supposed to be a really high-powered offense. Come back out and win the game. Like, come back out and win the game. Come back out and stop going 3 and out. This happened last year. Something needs to be figured out about our offensive line when it matters the most. When it matters the most, our guys gives up sacks. Now, listen, the first sack, Harrison got beat by Calais Campbell. Who hasn't gotten beat by him? Okay. It was, and it was a good, I think Kalis knew the play. He knew the play because he didn't even go for the fake. He went for Trevor as he rolled out. So he kind of called that. So again, great play by Calais. Another sack, Trevor had nobody to throw to. The receivers were completely blanketed. So yeah, smart. Take a sack instead of trying to force something and throw a pick. Okay. And then there was another sack that Trevor said during the press conference that he took a bad sack there. And so maybe I didn't go back and look completely. Our offensive line and Trevor, whoever's to be at fault there, take sacks in the most critical times. And you can't do that. You go win the game at that point. You hold it a little longer. You block a little longer. Give Trevor some more time. No doubt in my mind, if you give Trevor that time, that window, he's finding his guys. Give him a chance to go win the game for you like the Dolphins did for Tua. Although they were doing quick hitting stuff, then, maybe you do that. But the bottom line is give him some time. If you look at the sacks that he had, it wasn't like he had all day back there. They happened rather quickly. And so, you just give him a chance. It seems like even going back to last year when we had a chance to come back to win the games, we had critical sacks in critical moments, some on Trevor and some on the O-line. Clean that crap up. You clean that stuff up, then we're going to be able to go and win the game. 9 times out of 10, they weren't stopping our offense. All right. Now, when the fourth quarter came and we went 3 and out and 3 and out and couldn't win the game, as I told you earlier, momentum is real and something happened to our team. We were not the same team, with confidence going out there to move the ball. I think they were shocked over what took place with the fumble and then the 80-yard touchdown. But at some point, you gather yourself and you say, okay, let's go win this thing. And they did not do it. And then about that time, you could say the defense should have held Miami. Listen, man, 90-degree weather, full game. They haven't played a full game, first game of the year. Both lines are going to get tired and worn out. And that's exactly what happened. They got tired and worn out. And so, you're dealing with a situation where both teams are just exhausted, man. And so, that's the tale of two halves that I have right there, that I am just like, it's frustrating as a Jags fan. And I've been that from day one, as I told you in the introduction video. I'm tired of reading the same old Jags, the same old Jags, the same old Jags. I'm absolutely tired of reading that. At some point, stop being the same old Jags and go out and crush and win these games you're supposed to win. We are by far the more talented team than Miami Dolphins, and we lost to a sub-caliber team because, yeah, their offense is outstanding, but our defense is way better than theirs, and our offense, is just as good. And we lost, because of a fumble, but also not going back afterwards and taking it and still going and saying, no, this is our game. Let's win this game right now and go win it. that has to happen somewhere in there. That attitude, that mindset needs to start entering. And I'm not saying it's not there, but something's got to happen to change that. So, I mean, a couple questions that came in that I want to address during my time where I was working with, over the weekend with some friends of mine and talking and getting information and stuff. So let's talk about that. So I got some comments of, hey, Doug should be fired. That's harsh. That's a little far. I think Doug's a heck of a coach. I think he needs to hone in his issues with, go being aggressive. There's a time and place for that, and I think he needs to get better at that emotion or sense of when that time is. It was not when he went for it the other day. Like you, especially when you've already shown that you're having a hard time getting 3rd and 1. Don't force the situation. Punt it. Logan Cook is crushing that ball. He's punting out of this world. Use it to your ability. Play into your strengths of your team. Punt the ball. Use your defense. Who knows what happens? And we live to fight another day and maybe come out of this thing with a dub. All right. But 4th down call going for it was a concern. Listen, again, yeah, I would have punted. I mean, again, I told you in the introduction video, I'm not a professional. I'm not trying to act like I know anything about NFL when it comes to like coaching and all of the ins and outs of all of that. But I know enough and have been an astute follower of the game long enough to know that you at some point just need to just punt the ball and just stop playing this new age NFL where you feel like you got to go for everything. I love aggressive play calling. I love Doug Peterson's aggressiveness. I do, but it does need to be ratcheted in a little bit because right now it's out of control. It's out of control, and it didn't cost us there, but if they score a touchdown there, this is a whole nother issue. Okay, so punt the ball, let Logan hit a bomber, and then your defense does what your defense does. So yes, I agree. I don't think the 4th down call should have been called. They should have punted it. I also understand there's been angst against the play call. Like if you're going to do it to do a QB sneak or something, I agree. To stretch that thing out and actually go backwards before you go forward to get 1 yard doesn't make sense to me. All right, especially when the offensive line have been getting blown up from the prior down, and then you've got to do something quick there if you're going to do it. Lined up in the power I or something and just bang that sucker in there with Tank Bigsby, by the way, who, I'm not taking away anything from Travis Etienne. I love him. I think he's a phenomenal back. But maybe put Tank in there. He's a little bit bigger, who can get those tougher yards for you. And power I, that sucker in there and then get it, or do a QB sneak if you're going to do that. But again, punt the ball, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, got to be a better play call than that. I know that the players need to execute, but they haven't shown that they could up with that 3rd and short, and that's where you need to protect your players and either play an easier, a more, high percentage play call there, or just punt the ball. All right. There was concerns that came into me about conservative play call where we did, and I do think that there was some of that. But again, I just went through describing the plays in the 3rd quarter. It wasn't conservative play calling there. It was Christian Kirk dropped a 3rd and 13 pass right in his. Okay, so that one not right in his hands, but it was in his hands. And probably 9 out of 10 times he catches that, he'll tell you and will tell you it's a drop. He did in his post-game interview. So he had that drop. Earlier in the game, he had another 3rd down conversion drop right out of his hands. Evan Ingram, who has been phenomenal and hasn't had any problem with the drop, had a 3rd and 5 conversion right in his stomach. He dropped it. He got hit when he got there, but you got to expect that. He dropped it. So it wasn't conservative. You make those plays, you're continuing to drive down the field and building momentum and probably scoring 1 out of those 3 times as well. So I disagree on thinking that we kind of went into a blanket. Now, I will tell you, in the 4th quarter, it seemed like it even got more tight. We got more tense, and we got more concerned about, we're going to lose this game, and was more concerned about not losing the game than going and winning it. But again, I can't put that on conservative play calling. I got to put that on execution, because when Trevor dropped back, he was harassed. I mean, he didn't even throw to Brian Thomas Jr. in the second half at all. He didn't have no passes further than 10 to 12 yards happened in the second half at all, hardly. And so you can say that's conservative. I think that's execution. Trevor didn't have time to see the field like he did in the first half. And so Um, fix that, you know. Um, you know, so frustrating, frustrating, absolutely, and it sucks to have to lose to a team that you pretty much held in check all day until the Travis Etienne fumble. Um, But again, hey, Dolphins fans, your guy made a play on our guy. He punched it right on out of Etienne's hand. It was a great punch play. Etienne, you know, uh, most likely goes in and scores a touchdown there. Now it's 24-7, and we definitely win the game from that point. So it just goes to show you it is a matter of inches. It is, but momentum is real. When that happens, something happened to our team. What happened to Miami Dolphins is their confidence grew and they had momentum, and everything that we had going for us got zapped out of us and went to them because it was not the same team at that point at all. So got to fix it, figure out what it is, and fix it because we got Cleveland Browns next week. Who I'm going to pick us to win that game. I picked Miami to win this game, and I just felt like the team that was going to be at home was going to win, and that's ended up being what happened. But man, we dominated most of that game. So frustrating to dominate most of the game and have an issue like that, where what took place there took place, and so that's really really frustrating to know that that took place, and we had to witness that as a fan. Um, I think let me address. Listen, I guess let me get to the last comments on the game. All right. I want to always find silver lining. I want to always find something to build on. Listen, um, Brian Thomas Jr., dude's a beast, man. I'm so frustrated because what I was expecting for the second, I mean, he made Jalen Ramsey look so silly on that pass interference that Jalen didn't even know what was going on. Jalen was talking smack to Brian Thomas Jr. You can see him walk around, and Jalen probably doesn't even know what he was saying in that moment because he was probably stunned. He got handed lunch like that so bad by BTJ. But Brian Thomas Jr., man, he's going to be a beast. And he put a schooling on Jalen Ramsey, which was nice to see. But Jalen is still a top corner because that 4th and 1 that held Travis Etienne, Jalen comes all the way from one side all the way to the other to tackle him. So Jalen, I'm not saying which speaks even more highly of Brian Thomas Jr. But Brian Thomas Jr. took him to school on that route, and so yeah, I think he's going to be a superstar. Tanks Bigsby, hey, this is what we thought Tank was going to be last year. So if we do have a 1-2 like that, that's going to be exciting. That's going to be exciting. Trevor was sharp. I thought couple throws that Trevor did were just unbelievable. He was unfortunately he was on the short end of some drops, which would have been that were drive killers. That would have continued drives and continued to make his stats look better. And so Trev, said in his news conference that he took a bad sack. So learn from it and move on. I still would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Tua. I would still have Trevor Lawrence than a lot of other ones in the league, but he needs to make that step and he needs to make it quick. And it needs to happen this year because he's got the tools and the ability and the team to do it. Go win us the game when we're in those situations. That's what we need. Go win us the game in those situations. O-line, just give him little bit. Just give him a few extra couple seconds or another second or two. If he gets that, I think he finds the people and he can win these games instead of coming up short with these games. He's proved that in 2022 to win those games at the end. He's got the moxie to be able to do that, but we got to be able to make sure we give him the time that he needs to be able to at least find that. So just give him a little bit, okay? But yeah, there's no time to panic. First week, I said last week, or I said Friday in the podcast then, if we come out of the first 4 games 2-2, we'll be really happy. Okay, so we didn't get the Dolphins game. Should have had it. We didn't get it. Let's go get two of these other 3, and then we're still on schedule. And hopefully, we're going to continue to get better. Look, nobody's a well-oiled machine in the first week, so let's learn from these things. Let's just get better. If we can just build and get better after what we did see, because there were a lot of positives, we could be a very dangerous team. But it's got to start now. It's got to stop all this silliness and stop losing these games that you obviously are better than any other team, and you need to be winning. All right, let me look ahead to next week to Cleveland Browns. what in the world is up with Deshaun Watson? I mean, we knew he wasn't who he was when he left the Texans and everything else, but he is not. He is not the quarterback he was before. So I think the Jags win this one. I know Cleveland's defense is really strong, but I think it's going to crack at moments here and there to give us the points that we need to get to win the game. It's at home, so I hope our crowd shows up and shows out. I think it's a good bounce back game, not in the sense that it's a get right game, because this team isn't like the Cleveland Browns isn't a strong team. They're a very strong team. We need to take them as serious as we did do anybody else. But I just don't think they have the offensive power to hang with us if we can get our offense moving. Our defense has shown that it can be pretty suffocating. And now you bring in an offense that's not as talented as the Miami Dolphins, you should be able to win on defense there as well. Trayvon Walker, 2 sacks. Eric Armstead, we brought in a free agency right off the bat, impacted the game. Hopefully Tyson Campbell isn't out or hurt too much. I haven't looked at that, so I'll follow up on that. Hopefully he's not gone too much. That would be a blow. But we're deep enough in those areas. I think we could manage until he gets back. And then, we need to we just need to block better. We need to do a little better at giving Trevor some more time. And but yeah, I mean, look at our running game. Another silver lining. We ran the ball really well, really well. And so let's keep doing that. So I think we win next week against the Browns. I'm not going to predict a score or anything, but I do think we win against the Browns and get ready for the next week after that, which would be a tough matchup. We'll talk about that then. Please submit more questions through comments here. Anything that you have that you would like for me to give my opinion on when it comes to the Jags. Hey, this Miami's loss is done. It's over. We flushed it. We move on. Now we're looking at Cleveland Browns, and we'll move forward from there. I believe in this team. I believe this team is super talented. I think by the end of the year, we're going to be where we want to be. But this is another AFC opponent coming up. We can't lose another AFC to another AFC opponent because that record is important. We gave one away. We can't do that anymore. Let's get on a winning streak. Let's move forward. To all my Jags fans out there who's just frustrated, same old Jags, listen, I get it. It's not the same old Jags, though. It's just not, talent-wise. And so at some point, the turn is coming, because you just can't have this talented of a team and not defy the same old Jags kind of idea. It's going to happen, but we got to learn how to win these games and finish them off strong. And if we do have, some issues where there are, some conflicts in the game, or there are some hardships in the game, to withstand it, to hold tight, come together as a team, lift each other up, and then you go back out there and you just take the game, you win it, and that's going to continue to produce us to be who we can be. So I would say, Jag fans, hang in there. It's the first game of the year. I mean, this is a long season. I still said, let's look at 2-2 here in the first 4 games. That's what we're shooting for. Doesn't matter which 2 we get, as long as we get 2 out of the 4. And so that's where we'll be. Let's get this Cleveland Browns game and then move forward. Hey, listen, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you could, please share and subscribe. This is a hobby of mine. Again, I love just doing this, and I would love to get more engagement where people would give us more content, more questions to come in that I could address and talk and be able to give my opinions on. And if you're a fan of another team, ask them as well. I have surface level knowledge of other teams where I kind of do follow and pay attention to as well. So please do that. I just love this. This is something that excites me, something that I love talking about. And so I want to continue to do this, and I want to continue to have people be included as well. Let's build an awesome community that respects each other here. And looking forward to the game next week with Cleveland. And hey, we got a football game tonight, so let's go check out and see what the Jets have now that Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Let's see if he can make the Jets what everybody think they are with him there. All right. Well, appreciate each and every one of you. Look forward to seeing you next time. And hey, listen, Jag fans, hang in there. It's the first week. We're still a solid team. We got this. Let's go, Jags.